This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com, and we have an MMA fighter, beautiful woman, Crystal Bear Lawson, joining me again because she kind of had her social media lost recently, and she wants to let the fans know where to follow her again and stuff. But how have you been, and where can they follow you now that you have your social media back?
Yeah, I've been pretty good. Healthy, back to training. As you can see, I don't have black eyes anymore, so that's nice. And I'm just waiting to see when my next fight will be, and hopefully that will be Muay Thai, because that's what I'm focusing on. It's my background, and it's kind of what I want to stick with. But yeah, my new Instagram page is blueNoseBear_. Obviously I have my pit bull that I train, and I'm in school to train dogs. So, yeah, it made sense. And he's my best friend. So.
Yeah, dogs are always good friends. What are you training them for? To attack people or to just be friendly?
Well, he's always friendly. I'm just training him for like basic obedience stuff right now. He is doing some bite work and things like that, just for like home protection type of things. So I've been more recently doing some dog decoy work at a place here in Georgia. So that's been pretty interesting. I want to get into somewhere that will train me a little bit better, because it is like super exciting, and I really loved it, but there's like a lot of work that goes into it. But just, it's kind of like fight training, like getting to get attacked by a dog is super exhilarating. And you're kind of like, oh, I need to get the hell out of here, but you still want to do it. So it's super fun. So I just want to continue to learn that. But I'm just doing basic obedience stuff and just kind of seeing what he's good at right now. And he goes everywhere with me.
Have you ever had any issues with him before you trained him, going after other dogs or other people?
No, he's literally the most well-behaved dog ever. I've been working with him ever since he was literally, I got him, he was only 4 pounds. And I didn't know, but he was like super infested with worms and fleas. And at the time, I was going to Blood Mountain on a lot of hikes, which that is like a super hard hike. So he was just keeping up, and he's just been working out with me like forever. But he loves people. He loves other animals. He is now about a year and 3 months. So he's getting a little more dominant. He's not aggressive, but he'll definitely hold his own. I've noticed it's more like with other pit bulls, like that. We just got a golden doodle or something like that lives next door, and his name is Leo. And Beast just loves Leo, and he wants to play with him every day. So they both play pretty rough, but he does play rough for a lot of dogs. So it's like finding the right playmate for him. But he's not dog aggressive or anything.
Somebody on here is wondering if you have any tattoos. You're actually covered in tattoos. Just from this angle, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I have my hands, I have my whole arm, my back. I've got my legs done. So I'm pretty much completely covered. I have on my Hugh Hefner outfit today. I thought about sitting in front of the fire for you like the crypt keeper, but I said, you know what? I'm going to take it down a notch.
Do you have a lot of issues at the MMA shows? I know you have a boyfriend or husband, but like, is there like male fans that stalk or go after female fighters? Because we have that in wrestling with
Um, well, I mean, you'll have obviously the occasional person that'll write something stupid, which I think could be in anything. But more recently, I did have this super creepy guy, and I can't think of his name. But basically, he was saying he could find me like a Lethwei fight and a Thai fight, and this guy just before I was originally before the bare knuckle fight, I was doing a fight before that. So he sends me a message randomly at night, and I guess because he didn't find me the fight, he started saying like that opponent was like a really bad opponent for me, and he was calling my phone repeatedly, and then we come to find out that guy like actually had like abducted a girl and held her hostage and did all kind of crazy stuff to her. And I started like getting all these weird calls and stuff. And at that point, like I do have like a security system and all that kind of stuff, and obviously my dogs and things like that. But that's the only time I've ever felt like a little uncomfortable and sketched out, because this guy literally had like most of my information, because it was under the idea that he was someone who was able to find me these fights. And I had put, I don't want to say a lot of trust in him, because I don't trust anybody, but I had put that much trust in him. So that was a little stressful for a little bit. But you'll have some people, but most people are pretty good. Actually, you get stupid comments on like Instagram or something, but you know, my Instagram's hacked now. So
How did you find out it was hacked?
so on the 6th, I remember it just like yesterday. So on the 6th, I woke up pretty early. I woke up at like 7:30. I'm not a morning person. But I woke up at like 7:30 that morning and checked my email, and it said your Instagram email address has been changed. If you don't approve of this, reply back. I did. So I instantly went to check my page. At that time, it was kind of allowing me to like log in. And so I started trying to do all the measures to actually be able to get in. But the person was like one step ahead of me every time. So by the time it got to the point where you could do like the face scan, my screen was just like going in a circle, and it was too late. My page was still up for just a little bit, and I continued to report it. And then at that point, it was just completely gone. So I think they've deactivated it. I have talked to Facebook support, which they offer zero help. Instagram support has a phone number, but you cannot talk to them. When you talk to a Facebook chat from a business profile, they say they don't have anything to do with Instagram, although they are the same company. So, you know, I've had a lot of hackers contact me and say they can get in, but that's also a scam. So I have two different things. I can either be hopeful that like one of these messages that I've sent to Instagram will actually work, because there are a lot of resources that I've lost. Like there was a referee class that I wanted to do that I was just talking about, like, and a lot of these I don't necessarily remember everybody's names and things like that. And so all of those resources are just like completely gone. So hopefully I'm just trying to build all that back up.
Now, I posted a video today of some of your training that a lot of the fans probably saw on here. We also posted it on the Hannibal TV Instagram.
Yeah.
But what are you doing for your training these days? I see you do a lot of pad work. You're running and doing sprints and running up hills. Could you tell us about a typical training week for you?
Yeah, right now I'm doing a couple of different things with my training since I've decided to focus back on just Muay Thai. The main thing I'm doing right now is pad work, bag work, drills. We have the garage set up as a complete gym. So we do drills out there. We got a heater set up out there, like one of those propane tanks. So as long as we don't die from the propane, we're good to work out there. So yeah, just like back to basics, drills, running. I have 2 to 3 days a week where I'll do a mouth run, which is basically a 40-minute run where you're just going like super slow, and it's almost people who do like marathons and stuff will do this type of training. But my coach Jeff Gemmo from Gemmo actually told me about this, so it helps your endurance running. So I do that a couple days a week, and then I do 3 days a week of sprint training. And that varies. I have 3 different workouts that I do. They're the Don Heatrick program. So I do that. And then I lift. I try to lift at least 2 times a week.
And you're saying you want to do some Muay Thai fights. That's your specialty, I guess. You're standing up and doing elbows and knees along with the foot and hand strikes.
Yes. Yeah. MMA is something that I've done off and on, but it's never been my true love or passion. And honestly, I mean, for me to get as good as I need to be in MMA, it would take so much time. I was working 3 jobs. I have more jobs than Forrest Gump. There's the dog now, on my Instagram. Beast. On my Instagram the other day.
Is that how you create a dog? You just make that little sound and they shut up?
Yeah, you make that little sound and see how perfectly behaved he is now? That's just all you do. You just make that sound and you have the best dog.
We're learning some tips here.
Really, I don't know. I think something might have got his interest. Yeah.
Would you ever go to Thailand and fight over there, or do they have girls fighting over there?
Yeah, that's the plan. I've had a plane ticket to go. I've been before. I went and filmed Master Toddy's show, Tough Girls, in 2011, because that's actually what got me into martial arts. Is I saw his show, fell in love with it. I went and filmed in 2011. It was never aired in the U.S. because I don't know. I think maybe he was wanted for tax evasion, but I want to say that because I don't really know what's true and what's not. But it was a really cool experience. But I got my ticket year before last to go, and that's right when COVID hit here. And even now, just the restrictions to get over there are so insane between the testing and still a lot of different areas being shut down. I have my plane ticket waiting. I've got my money set aside. So my goal is that I want to go there, get several fights back to back, and then try and aim for something like one or a bigger show, triumphant, something like that. But I know I need to get in more of those fights back to back and be more consistent with my Thai fights before I can reach those goals. So I'm hoping the world gets its whole mind together and gets back to normal soon.
Yeah, it's not looking too great, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But you say you work 3 jobs, plus you're doing all this fight training. You must be extremely busy. What are the jobs that you do for your regular jobs?
Oh, wow. So I've got all sorts of jobs. Let me tell you about all my jobs. I work at Hot Works, which is a 24-hour infrared fitness studio. So that's pretty cool. There's all kind of classes there, hot Pilates, hot yoga, stuff like that. And that's kind of a sales job. And then I do the dog decoy work, which is where you actually get attacked by dogs. I told you that. So doing that. And I'm looking into getting into more of that type of work, maybe getting into some clubs where I can actually learn it from the ground up. I don't mind being patient and taking my time with that because I really do love it. And then I was working at a cryotherapy place. So I'm slowly starting to narrow my job down now because it was taking up so much time. And then I'm studying for my dog obedience classes too. And then just trying to have a life on top of that and do everything. It's pretty out of control. It's a little overwhelming, honestly.
Did you get free cryotherapy sessions at that job?
Yeah, I got free cryotherapy and I could do the red light I was doing the laser as well. So cryotherapy, the red light, oxygen, compression, and then I got a discount on any IV therapy too. So I still have a good communication with them. And if there's ever a day that I'm off and he needs me to work there, he'll still check with me. So I still kind of work there, but I kind of don't.
Sounds like a great place for recovery. Someone on here says you look like Suzanne Summers. Have you ever heard that before? I don't really see it.
No, I don't know what she looks like anymore, so I hope that's a compliment. Is she still pretty? Because she's 50 something, right?
She's got to be older than 50 now. She's got to be.
Oh, we don't need to know if Suzanne Summers is still pretty or not with that comment.
Yeah, I'll search it up. Do you follow UFC or anything?
A little bit, you know, if it's somebody I enjoy watching, I'll watch them, but I'm not super into like keeping up with everything that's going on with MMA, or with UFC. You know, we've been watching pretty much all the bare knuckle fights because they're pretty exciting, but there's just so many UFC fights that are going on and so many fighters, it's hard to keep up. So I don't keep up with it a ton.
What is it you like the best about the bare knuckle for watching it?
Because it's always exciting. There's always blood. It's always exciting. A lot of times it's going to end in a knockout. It's just so brutal. It's, you know, it's just so primal. I mean, that's what drew me to doing the bare knuckle MMA. You know, like I know that my MMA experience is not that high, but I thought that from my stand-up background and the small amount of Muay Thai experience I have, I was hoping that would carry me through. And I know if I hit somebody bare knuckle, I hit hard without gloves. So I knew, hey, if I can put my hands on you bare knuckle, then it's going to be a really bad day. And I still obviously believe that to the fullest. So it's super exciting and yeah, and just like really primal.
How's the pay for bare knuckle?
It's good. I mean, I got paid really well, and they're paying, unless you're like a top tier UFC guy. And again, I'm not an expert on this, but unless you're like a top tier UFC guy, you're not making tons of money. Bare knuckle does pay well. They treat their fighters really well. And I'm speaking specifically for Game Bread and Jorge Masvidal's show and how I was treated. I don't know about other bare knuckle promotions, just to make that clear. But I do know Jorge has now opened up the Icon, which I think possibly is a feeder into UFC. It's going to be on Fight Pass. And he's talking about opening a boxing promotion this year too, or coming up. So I do some boxing for them. I think that could be cool. As long as I'm standing up. I just, you know, I suck on the ground, so.
And this is what Suzanne Summers looks like now, and she's 75.
Well, maybe the younger Suzanne. She's all right.
Yeah. Well, I think he means the younger Suzanne, but I don't see the resemblance there.
I guess he means the younger Suzanne. I do hear a lot of people. I used to hear like Kelly Ripa a lot. Who else have I heard? There's a few. I get a few people.
Mike wants to know your.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, I have a funny story. That's true. So I obviously after my last fight, there was a lot of swelling still under my eyes from the hematoma. And Tuesday, I'm going to get laser under my eyes. I'm glad we did our interview now. But so yeah, I went to the doctor. Everybody thinks I'm Asian or Russian. So I went to the eye specialist the other day, and he's like, "So have your eyes always been small?" And I looked at him and I was like, "What do you mean small?" And he's like, "I mean like Asianish." And I was looking at him like, "Bro, like, what if I'm Asian? That's really rude to say." And he's like, "Well, are you Asian?" It's like, "No, I'm Colombian and American, but you can't just say that to people."
That's funny. Nick wants to know, or Nico wants to know, if you think CM Punk looked like a fool in his UFC fights.
If CM Punk looks like a fool against UFC fighters?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
How would you rate his skill level in there?
Is it a 1 to 10?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 4.
There you go. Well, he showed up. He didn't have the charisma that he had in wrestling either. And he didn't do like you did the entertaining face-off for your last fight.
Boy, did I.
Yeah, like I noticed with him, that would be his strong suit.
Right.
And like he did the most boring face-offs ever.
Yeah, it's like a big, and I just need to throw this out there too. There have been at least 3 UFC fighters minimum that after my weigh-in are saying they're going to snatch souls. And I just want to say that I should have copyrighted that. they took it from me, and I'm just letting it be known that I said it first.
What's the worst injury you ever had from fighting?
Well, I've had 2 bad injuries, not specifically from a fight, but from training. One time back in like 2000 and maybe 9, I was training here at Knuckle Up in Atlanta, and I was training with a really, really good girl, Mo Travis. She was fighting very actively at the time, and I never wore headgear. And so we were at the gym sparring that day, and I really wanted to make my coach proud that I wore my headgear. But I was so excited I forgot to put in my mouthpiece. And then Mo didn't have on her headgear. So we clinched up, and when we fell, my chin hit the top of her head. And when that happened, it broke my jaw here, and then both TB joints. And so this was on a Friday. So I was in Atlanta over the weekend. I was in a lot of pain. I took something for the pain. I could only eat like mashed potatoes. I assumed maybe I had a fracture or a chipped tooth or something. So I get back to North Carolina that Monday, which is about a 4.5-hour drive. I get back on Monday, and I go to a doctor. They scan me. They say it's fine. Not a big deal. Go home. About a week later, I start to get an infection in my mouth, and I go to a specialist for that. And that's when I found out that I had all the breaks in my mouth. And I was just like horrified that I might have to get my mouth wired shut. And he said, as long as you don't eat anything or talk too much, you don't have to. So I lived off of Ensure for about 3 months, and it healed up on its own, and I'm better. The second worst injury I had was when I was getting ready to fight for Glory. I was just doing like a lot of boxing, and I tore my TFCC, which is the triangular cartilage right by your wrist bone. And that, it just sucked because I didn't realize what had happened at first. So every time I'm throwing body shots, I'm just in like excruciating pain. And then I found out what it was, and they had to put a cast on me for about a month. And the healing for that was took quite a long time.
Did you still manage to fight for Glory?
I did after that, but that fight was postponed. And then the girl I was supposed to fight, she actually got into a car accident for our next fight. So then I fought for them. It ended up being several months later, but yes.
How was the pay for Glory? Because that's the Major League Kickboxing company.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty decent. It's still almost to the level of Muay Thai and kickboxing. Just doesn't pay what MMA does. It's truly something you have to do because you love it. I've never fought because I thought I was going to get rich. Like, it's quite the opposite. You're spending a lot of money for medicals and training and all kind of stuff. And now in December, they were talking about me fighting in California. And I didn't realize when in California, there's MRIs, CAT scans, EKGs. So my medicals alone were going to be like close to maybe minimum $5,000. And I was just like, nah, I can't do it. And it was on, I think, 4.5 weeks notice. So, yeah, it's not great money for Muay Thai, but that's what I love to do. And I want to, I know I only have a few more years left, and then I want to get into commentating. I want to get into interviewing fighters. I want to get into doing stuff like you're doing podcasts. And, I just think that sticking with what I'm good at instead of trying to pull myself in all these directions and get good at wrestling and good at MMA, stick with what I'm good at, continue to grow at that, and finish up my career with a really good record and leave on a high note,
Zoe says you look like Harley Quinn and you're beautiful.
Yeah, I like Harley too. I love Harley.
What's your favorite movie?
Kill Bill, House of Flying Daggers. What else? The Last Samurai. I like pretty much every Quentin Tarantino film. V for Vendetta. Those are all my top favorites. Did I say House of Flying Daggers? That one too.
Yes, you're a very violent person. That's cool.
I know, I'm so calm until I'm not, you know?
Scott wants to know, are injuries more common in bare knuckle than UFC?
I think they're different types of injuries. I think that the injuries with bare knuckle seems to be more like obviously the cuts, because pretty much everybody's getting cut. I don't know. That's the main thing. You know, when you leave a bare knuckle fight, you're probably getting cut. The shot that I took was a grazing shot, and sliced me here, and then I had a hematoma here, and then, like I said, that swelling went under my eyes, and that was October 1st, and then that hasn't gone away yet, just because the fluid stayed for so long. I've never had that with Muay Thai. I've never had that with other MMA fights. So as far as that goes, yeah, definitely. But from the research, supposedly the brain injury is less. I guess it just depends. Bare knuckle boxing, just specifically bare knuckle boxing, I'm not really sure. I would think you would probably be taking less damage because you're just doing less or just doing only boxing, but you're getting cut up usually.
Scott wants to know exactly how many tattoos you have.
I have so many that I can't count anymore. Like I said, I have my entire back, so that is one whole piece. I have Maltese. They're all Japanese folklore. So I have like a Maltese tiger, which is for my Muay Thai camp. I have a phoenix, which is also a bird of paradise. I have a kitsune. I have my entire arm is all Japanese work as well. So I'm literally covered, and I say that I'm done every single time, and then I have like small ones on my hands and stuff too. So I say that I'm done every time, but I already know what my next one's going to be. I just got to figure out where I'm going to put it, because I'm running out of space, and I don't want to cover up too much of my body, because like I do think there's supposed to be a balance of like that feminine look. Even if you have tattoos, like I still want to look feminine, I want a nice balance.
Approximately how much would you say you've spent on all those tattoos?
Wow, a lot. I would say you could probably buy a car for that much. I have spent hours, I would say, on my back alone. I mean, at least 40 hours or more in my back. That's just my back. And then, my sleeve, and then my side. So I've spent, if you add it up, I've got a lot of money in my body, and I will have an expensive corpse one day.
Someone on here is asking, is it hard fighting in like male dominated industry overall? Obviously, the money's probably better overall for males, other than in some cases in most leagues.
I haven't ever like had a problem with it. It's definitely I've been fighting since around 2010, and of course I would say it's hard in the way of like finding training partners and stuff. I think that's the hardest part, because there are a lot of times women don't necessarily stick with it, and depending on where you live, I mean, I'm sure if you're in really big cities, or you're out in Vegas or certain parts of Cali and stuff, you're going to have a lot more female training partners. But it's really hard to find girls that are consistently there, or guys that are your size. And even if they're guys, it's different than training with girls. Where I'm at now, we had a pretty good group. So I'm hoping that some of those girls keep coming back, because we had a good amount there for a while. So that's what I would say would be the hardest part about it, is just finding enough girls to train with, because it's different. It doesn't matter if there's guys your size, like finding the women to train with, and then the women that have the same goals as you and aren't just there to work out or look good or whatever. because I'm in there to hustle like the guys, and I'm a really hard worker and I grind, but I need girls to be able to do that with me.
Now, a fan asked us earlier, have you ever fought or sparred with someone that smelt really bad? I have as a guy, but I would like to at least imagine girls have better hygiene.
Oh yeah. You mean a girl specifically?
Yeah, anyone that like had like really bad BO.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to say this the best way possible without giving away too much. There's one girl that I used to train with, wrestling and different stuff, and I would actually hang out with her sometimes, but man, this girl smelled so, and I was just talking about this the other day. Like, this girl smelled like constant body. I don't know if she never took a shower, if like that was just her smell. And I'm not trying to be mean, but it was so rough because like she rode in my car, and I'm like, oh, I got to get her out of my car. Like, you can't come to my house because you smell. And I don't know how to tell somebody that they smell really bad. So yeah, you definitely come across some people that girls need to take extra good care of themselves. Not saying that guys don't, but if you're a girl, you need to take the extra time. You just need to take care of yourself. And probably, you should let your friend know. I don't know how you let your friend know that, hey, you don't smell very good, but yeah, she was a rough one.
You tell another friend of theirs that's closer to them.
Oh, that's a good idea. Like,
Yeah.
hey, this person needs to do something about their life.
Yeah, that's what I've done in the past. Unless you just snap one day and just say, hey, I'm not wrestling you again unless you start wearing deodorant or something.
Yeah, because the smell just engulfs you.
Yeah, I mean, I had it once. There was no time to take a shower after, and I had this person smell on me for like a couple hours after, and I was ready to kill them.
Or like if you're going with a guy and they have like a sweaty shirt or something on, and then you're grappling, and then it like gets all in your face, and then it smells, and it's like in your hair. That's pretty bad too.
Have you ever had any guys be inappropriate during grappling sessions?
No, I never have. That's something I feel like I've been super fortunate. I know I have heard girls talk about, like coaches being inappropriate or male training partners, but I think when I'm in the gym, I do conduct myself a certain way. And I am very professional because that's my job. So I don't think I necessarily give that vibe off. I'm not necessarily, or I don't want to say necessarily, I'm not some super flirty, whatever type of person. So I don't really give off that energy that I'm somebody you probably want to talk to. Like, I'm fun and stuff, but you can kind of tell I'm just probably not interested.
Yeah, and that's not the place to do it. Plus, you have a lot of guns too, and people know that, so they're not going to mess with you.
That's right. We have all the bullets.
Zucchini Dude wants to know if you have a favorite Marvel movie.
I like all the Marvel movies, actually. I like any superhero movies. I like any comic book movies. I think there's a new one coming out, right?
There always is.
Yeah. Yeah, one movie I haven't seen is the new, we're talking about Harley Quinn, is the new Suicide Squad, but I heard that it sucked.
I have not seen it yet.
Yeah.
Gavin would like to know if you're at all concerned about brain trauma, and also have you ever trained in judo?
Brain trauma, no. I feel like my memory already sucks as it is. So I do take things to help, with my brain and try to help just keep it healthy and stuff like that. But not necessarily. I think when you're specifically just boxing, then there is a lot more likelihood of brain injuries. And as you know, in football, there's a lot of brain injuries. But, I feel like I try not to worry about stuff like that. I'm just trying to live life to the fullest, trying to be really good at this. And I don't like to think about the things that could be wrong or go wrong. I think that's sort of a bad way to think about it, you know? If you start worrying about being hurt, and of course, when you get a little bit older, yeah, the odds of that are a little higher, but I think it's better just to, I'm all about living life to the fullest and making the most of everything. And I try not to think like that.
Someone wants to know if you would ever fight a transgender opponent.
I think somebody asked this last time. Maybe if they were a tiny transgender opponent. So since I normally fight at 110, I've had to obviously fight at 115, but and I fought as high as 121, which isn't even what I weigh. Maybe if they were 105 pounds and the pay was right, I'm trying to get paid. I'm trying to hustle and do whatever I need to do to make that money right now.
Wayne wants to know, are you all at all concerned doing all this boxing and Muay Thai and bare-knuckle stuff, how you're going to look? Because obviously you're very beautiful. Maybe doing this for a few more years, that could change.
Yeah, you know, I just say take that fight money, put some to the side, and then if you need to get your face fixed, then that's what that money's for.
Someone wants to know if you watch pro wrestling. I'm going to guess you don't.
I've watched some, and I've actually seen some of your stuff. And I was, a funny thing I was going to do about wrestling is I don't know a ton about wrestling. I used to watch Hulk Hogan when I was a kid. I think everyone did. I had like the figurines and stuff like that. Figurines, is that what you call them? Action figures. I think a figurine is like a little deer that like sits on the counter. But I used to watch a lot when I was a kid, and I applied for a lot of like acting gigs and stuff. And one of the things was to read off a teleprompter. And this guy's, it was all about wrestling, and it was about I think Ric Flair maybe. But it was about his whole life story. So it was literally like 50 pages. So I downloaded this teleprompter on my computer, and I'm trying to read it and figure out how I'm going to do this and like understand the life of Ric Flair. And this is going like on and on. And I just said, man, like this is just, I can't do this. Like, this is not what I was prepared for. I thought it was going to be like 3 pages. I've got to read 50 pages and then add like the, you know, the excitement to it and all this kind of stuff. So, but I would love to get into wrestling. I don't know. Like, I think you might have to be like 20 to do that. I'm not sure, but I think it would be cool at this point. I just want to like try out everything. I want to try, you know, I want to try everything I can within, you know, the martial arts and this type of field, that, you know, see where I am, see what I can do, see what the next steps are for me. I'm not opposed to anything.
Lee would like to know your thoughts on the whole Logan Paul, Dana White back and forth that's been going on lately.
I didn't hear about Dana White going back and forth with Logan Paul.
He's been saying that they're not paying fighters enough, and it's just been a lot about pay and stuff like that. But what's your opinion on Logan Paul, since someone brought him up?
I mean, I think both of those brothers are doing pretty good. So I honestly can't say anything bad about them. I mean, they go and fight, they go and make their money, they market themselves, and if somebody's going and doing a job, I can't hate on that.
Now, you are taken, but Scott wants to know what kind of men are your type and how would they approach you? I imagine you'd be pretty intimidating with your tattoos, your guns, your pit bulls, and all of your fighting stuff.
I'm not really sure. Like, I don't, well, my husband met me online, but in real life, I'm not approachable. And even like my coaches have always told me that I'm just like, in that way, I'm not approachable because I'm really quiet. I'm reserved. I'm weird. I don't know how to talk to people. Like, I can talk to you just fine, but you put me in like an intimate conversation and it's just going to get weird. I'm going to say something stupid. So I think just being like a gentleman holding doors, which I think is what most girls want, right? Like somebody to hold the door for you, somebody to be like a real man, somebody to take care of you, things like that. Like not necessarily in a financial way, but just that type of stuff, you know.
David wants to know what your favorite color is.
Black, and my second favorite is red.
Now, are you familiar with any of the female wrestlers? Because Gavin on here is asking if we were a tag team and we fought a male and a female, who would you want that to be in pro wrestling?
Yes, let's do that. The only females I'm actually familiar with are, of course, the basics, because I watched the Bella, whatever the WWE show was, which had the Bella twins. So I
Oh,
know.
Total Divas or Total Bellas, maybe.
Yeah, so I know all the girls that were on that show. I don't have one picked out, but I'm down for any of them. Or we can go after Ronda Rousey.
That would be a good one. She's still on a break for having a kid, I believe.
Or is Paige Van Zant? Isn't she wrestling now? Let's go get her.
Yeah, I think she started as well. There's a lot of MMA fighters getting into it.
Yeah.
Lately.
I that's something I'd like to talk to you about and find out how to go about doing that. Like what steps at one point I was supposed to go down to Florida to do whatever it is to the camp, but I can't remember what happened at the time. I think they ended up not having it, or the slots ended up filling up all of a sudden. But I was so excited.
Tom wants to know, do you prefer to win a fight by TKO, KO, or submission?
That's a good one. Everybody always wants a knockout, but for me, coming from a Muay Thai background, winning by submission is just really cool for me, and it feels good because it's so out of my wheelhouse. I'd say it's just a super rewarding feeling just knowing that, like, okay, that work I put in actually was for something, and hey, I can win in that way, you know?
Now, I'm going to screw up this woman's name, but somebody's asking you, do you see yourself having a chance to fight Valentina Shevchenko anytime soon? I don't know how to pronounce that.
She's just doing MMA, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, probably not. Now, she was on Line Fight for a while, and I'm not sure her weight because I think she's heavier than me. I actually met her and her sister when I was up with Lion Fight, and they're super nice. But I think she's a 125er.
How much can you squat? I've noticed that you do a lot of squats in some of your videos.
I think my 1RM, I'm gonna sound like a meathead right now. I know my 1RM on my deadlift is like 375. On my squat, I can't really remember because normally what I do is 80% max. And then I'll do like anywhere from 2 to 3 reps for 5 sets. And then I'll do like something after that. That's the protocol that I go by, just for martial arts and stuff. But I'm pretty strong for my weight. I'd like to say I'm the best pound for pound, because I'm very strong. I have really good grip strength. I have really good leg strength, and I'm super powerful.
And someone asked earlier if they could see if there's pockets on those shorts. To answer that question, if they want to get a good look at you, you have Instagram, right? You want to tell people where they can see your Instagram because you have some pretty
Yeah,
tasteful, but they show a lot, some of these pictures.
yeah, and I'm uploading more pictures. But again, it is Blue Nose Bear _. And then I have a TikTok, which is Thai Box Bear. And I think that's _ too, but that's also linked in my Instagram. But I'm going to keep uploading pictures and videos. Like I said, my page was hacked. But I'm going through my cloud and just slowly rebuilding and kind of looking at this as an opportunity to rebrand and rebuild and hopefully, come back even stronger on that end. It sucks because as far as sponsors go and different things like that, we all know a lot of it is by having followers and having fans and stuff. And when you went from having like 10,000 people to having 150 people, it can mess up some of those opportunities. But I'm just, like I said, I'm looking at it as a way to just like non-attachment, right? So just keep growing. And if I am what I think I am, then, you know, it's going to be all good and I can get right back where I was. But I do have pockets, I like pockets.
I think they meant back pockets.
Oh, I do not have back pockets, but I like that trick.
Eric wants to know if you have a rank in jiu-jitsu.
Now, I've done a lot of no-gi, so I don't really know what my rank would be. I guess I'd probably be a blue belt. I mean, I've been doing jiu-jitsu off and on. Nothing super consistent for anywhere from 4 to 5 years. But every time I start doing a lot of jits, I get a Thai fight. Or every time I start doing a lot of jits, I get a kickboxing fight. And primarily, I've done no gi work. I've only worked in the gi for maybe about a year, and I actually did kind of start to like it finally when I was at Gimo in Charlotte. It's the first time I was like, oh, once I started understanding like gi chokes and stuff, I was like, okay, I can really get used to this. But I like working no gi, and everybody has a different opinion, but I think no gi is better for MMA, honestly, and for real life.
I think it's better for everything too, because if the guy is attacking you on a beach, like, wouldn't you want to be able to do it whether they're wearing a thick jacket and pants or not? And then you
Right,
spend half the
exactly.
time tying up your belt every time you get thrown.
let me get my belt together. Let me get here. Yeah, I think it's better for real life scenarios. Oh, somebody asked about judo. I've done judo one time. I went to a class. They put me with a guy who was about 210 pounds. I got slammed on my head. My neck hurt for about 2 weeks, and I've never went back to another judo class.
Interesting. Scott wants to know how you prepare for an opponent. Do you scout your opponents heavily, or do you just kind of go in there with no game plan?
Yeah, I mean, you always have to try and have a game plan, but I mean, ultimately, it doesn't always work out. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I always try to have a game plan, check people out. I don't like to look at them too much. I like to look it over, have my manager look, have my team look, have my coaches look, because I don't want to get like super obsessed with like, oh, this person does this good or that good. I want to focus more on what I do good and try to implement my game and what I'm trying to do, and not focus all on what this person is doing, because I don't want to get caught up like that. I want to drag them into my world, you know.
Now, we talked earlier about your confrontation before your last fight. Do you do anything to get into the person's head? Because obviously, the mental game in fighting can be advantageous.
No, you know, normally I am the most respectful, calm, laid back person, just because that is, you know, coming from a Thai background. It is all about respect and honor, and I'm all about that. But yeah, as soon as someone disrespects me, especially on that level, yeah, I'm gonna lose my whole shit, and then at that point, I don't give a fuck.
Someone would like to know, what's your favorite TV show?
Ooh, well, I've got a couple. Don't judge me. Well, Missing Persons Mysteries, I watch every single night. Then Skinwalker Ranch, the new one has been good. There's that new Bigfoot show. But I'm also watching, I just got Discovery Plus the other day. So now I'm watching all the 90 Day Fiancés and the 1,000 Pound Sisters. So don't judge me.
Is this like a drama series about Skinwalker Ranch, or like a documentary series?
Yeah, it's like a documentary series, and it's really good.
What's your whole opinion of everything that goes on there? For the people that aren't familiar with it, it's like a hot spot for paranormal activity and UFO activity that's actually heavily researched by not only the government, but various very wealthy people have spent a lot of money researching what goes on there as well.
I 100% believe in everything that's happening there. I believe it's paranormal. I do think there's, if you watch the show, there's a lot of research. They're doing new stuff, which is pretty cool. But there's definitely some kind of crazy magnetic energies going on there. I don't know if there's something underneath the earth. I don't know if there's something from above. But there's some crazy stuff happening there. It's definitely paranormal. I believe heavily in that. I think we spoke a little bit about that kind of stuff last time. I don't think it's coincidental whatsoever. We actually took a note that to tell you that last time we were talking about UFOs and stuff like that, and not long after that, probably a few weeks after, I had left the gym doing cardio and driving down the road by my house. And I saw these 3 lights in the sky. And at first I thought it was a plane. Well, there's actually 4 of them. And at first I thought it was a plane, but I'm like, I don't really pay attention. I'm just driving, listening to music. But for some reason, I really paid attention to these lights. And they're like these orbs is the best way to describe it. There are these 3 circles and they're going here, here, and here. And then there was a white one next to it. And I'm just staring at it. And I'm like, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? Is there something behind the bushes? And so I drive a little bit farther and I'm looking to see, cause it just straight disappeared. And so I'm looking is it behind something? Where did they, I'm trying to justify what I saw. The white one had just shot off like that, and the 3 red ones just disappeared. So my husband was in his car behind me, and I called and I was like, hey, did you see anything? And he was like, yeah, those lights. And he starts describing it. And I was like, well, who do I call? So I called 911 and told them what had happened. And she said she's going to send someone out. Right. And I was like, okay, that's weird, but fine. I described it to her. So didn't hear anything back. About an hour later, I get a call, and it's a lady, and she says, hey, I'm the deputy that was going to come out to your house. Can you describe this to me? I told her about it, and the phone cut off. And I was like, okay, that's weird. She calls me back again. And she's like, sorry, my phone's breaking up. Yeah, one of our other deputies, he was actually in the military, and he said it was just an airplane. And I said, actually, no, my husband did that in the military, and this, and this means that this was not actually a military. This was not a plane. This was something completely different. And then I'm getting another call from this number, the same number. So it's she has me on the phone, but then she also has me on call waiting. And when I start describing to her about why this can't be just an airplane, at some point the phone hangs up, both of the calls, and then never heard anything since then. And then I had called my daughter, who's in LA right now, to tell her what happened. And she's like, this is crazy. And while I'm on the phone with her, I'm getting all this crazy static. So I don't know if they tapped my phone or what, but started doing some research right as that was happening. And there were a bunch of sightings throughout the East Coast, very specifically at that time and that day. And these are all military websites and stuff.
Very interesting. So I guess you didn't have time to pull out your phone to catch any video of this.
No, it's kind of the best way I could describe it is I was a little bit in shock. I felt a little weird. I was listening to some weird music. Not that I don't normally listen to this stuff, but it was Blue Moon radio. So it was really older music, kind of enchanting. And I just felt I don't know how to describe it. I just felt different. And that's when I saw it, and it was just a really weird experience. It was just too much to take in at once.
Very interesting. And as far as Bigfoot, I'm really not that interested in it, because with UFOs, it's this is something that could maybe take us over. But Bigfoot, it's I can't see them taking over the world or anything like that. But what's your opinion from your research on these Bigfoots and Sasquatch things that are seen all over the place?
So there's another show about him, and I can't think of his name, but I think that if he were real, and I believe in everything, I believe in fairies, I believe in UFOs, I believe in gnomes. There's about nothing I don't believe in except for Bigfoot. I just think if he were there, we would see him. But there's this one place that they're doing the show on now, and not Nongtinuk or Kontinuk or something is what they call him. But they say he charges up in a tree and he's like throwing stuff at them. I don't know. So I think that's paranormal. I think a lot of this stuff could ultimately just all be paranormal. And it's for this other weird universe, and there's just creepy things in it. And I don't think it's really a gorilla man.
Some people have even talked about these Bigfoot appearances on Skinwalker Ranch, I understand. There's all kinds of weird activity there.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Someone was asking earlier about if you've ever had how many TV and how many pay-per-view fights you've had in your career.
Pay-per-view, I've had a couple. I've done a lot of fights that were streamed. And then I had the one, like I said, that was in Thailand that was actually aired, and that would have been live and filmed. So yeah, a couple of pay-per-views and then a lot of like live streams.
How was your experience in Thailand with the culture over there?
Yeah, so that was my favorite part, honestly, and that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to going back is because I just love the culture there. I love the food. It's what I love. I like to go to a place and I like to like experience fully what it has to offer. And that's one of the things I love about fighting is getting to travel and getting to see these different places and just like really immerse myself. So I fit in really well there. And I like the gym that I was training at the time, there were CDs, which was not that long ago. But I remember taking a few CDs with me, and they kept all the CDs so that they had like the American music and stuff. So it was nice. I'm really looking forward to going back.
Someone wants to know if you watched the documentary on Bob Lazar and him talking about Area 51. And he was the one, along with George Knapp, that kind of revealed Area 51 to the world.
Yeah, I did watch that. I watched him on Joe Rogan. And I think there's another thing. He might have another show now, but there's a couple out right now. There's a couple of really good ones out right now. And so Discovery Plus, I think, and Amazon Prime has like all the good ones right now.
Someone's asking if you've seen Resident Alien on its Sci-Fi, and he also says that's a crazy story about you and the UFO.
Ooh, no, I don't have Sci-Fi. I only have the smart TV, so I only have Hulu, Prime, Netflix. I don't have like regular TV.
James wants to know your opinion on fighters using cannabis after fights. I don't think it would be an advantage before a fight.
Hey, everybody's different. I've had training partners who could use it, and honestly, they were even better. I think it depends on the person. I don't do it because it makes me weird. And I'm already weird enough. But yeah, I don't use it, but I think for a lot of people, I think it can be really helpful. I know there's so many healing properties, and if it's natural and it comes from the earth, I'm all about it. So I say do it if you want to.
Jake wants to know your thoughts on who would win if you were to fight Ronda Rousey, maybe in MMA and Muay Thai. You might have the advantage in Thai.
Me.
There you go. That's the right answer. Is there anyone on your list that you would really want to fight that you could reasonably actually get a fight with in the next year or two?
I don't have anybody specifically picked out. Of course, we're looking. We've got a couple of kickboxing shows coming up. There's a couple of places talking about doing Muay Thai shows within the next couple of months, even some boxing shows. So as long as they're in that 110-ish weight bracket, I don't really care who it is. I just want to continue to stay busy and fight. And then when I get to Thailand, I don't care who I fight. I want to fight the best. I want to fight whoever they've got there, because that's always been my goal, is to go to Thailand, fight girls who that's what they do, and actually see where I am and just challenge myself. So I don't have anybody specifically named out yet, but if the Thailand thing is to come about soon and I get an opportunity to get into a show like one or something like that, then maybe I'll start calling people out if I see somebody. But I'm kind of someone who just waits for an opportunity. I'm not really big about calling people out unless you piss me off.
What does your husband think about this fighting? Because I don't know if I could be married to someone that puts their body on the line like that. As a female, I'd be really concerned every time you fought.
Yeah, no, he's super supportive. He does physical therapy, so there's a lot of times when if I have like some ailments or something going on, he's able to help out with that. And he does Muay Thai too, more for fun, and he's done some amateur fights and stuff. He definitely doesn't want to make it a career or anything like that. He said, someday he might want to have a pro fight just to say he did it and fight without shin guards. I actually cornered him for the IKF. But he knew when he met me. We've known each other for about close to 2 years now. And he knew when he met me exactly what I did and the grind that it is and the struggle that it is and the highs and the lows and the ups and the downs that come along with it. And because it is a hard life. I mean, you have the highest of highs and you have the lowest of lows, and you have injuries and you have fights fall through, and it's pretty emotional sometimes.
For sure, pro wrestling's a lot easier, which is why I chose pro wrestling, but now podcasting's even easier. But why don't you tell the fans where they can follow you on your brand new Instagram? And I don't know if you're on Twitter or Facebook or anywhere else like that.
Yeah, so my Instagram is _. My TikTok is Thai, THAI box bear, and I think that's an _ too. And my Facebook is Crystal Bare Lawson, and both the Instagram and Facebook say Crystal Bare Lawson on them. It's LAWSON. I don't have Twitter because I don't really know how to tweet, and I don't think I have the time to tweet.
No, not with 3 jobs plus training and fighting and modeling and dog training. You're pretty busy.
I just don't have the time. I just don't have the time for it.
And all those shows that you got to watch too.
And I know my extra time is the shows. That's what I was doing today. I was studying while I was getting ready for my interview. I ate dinner. I was getting ready for my interview. I was like, I'm going to go watch 90 Day Fiance and listen to that while I put on my mascara. So I have to really manage my time well.
Well, but since you brought up dinner, I got to ask you, what's your favorite meal to cook?
To cook. Well, I would prefer to have someone to cook for me everything. But my favorite food right now is Indian food. I always love steak. Scallops are probably my favorite food. But just to cook on my own, I've been trying to make my own Indian dishes because they're just easy. Do some really nice spices and maybe take some little potatoes and put in there. And I've been getting pretty decent at it.
Very good. Well, thanks a lot for joining us.
Yeah.
Whenever you get your next fight, we'll be happy to have you back on again to talk about it. But I'll let you close this off with whatever you want to say to the fans. And I wish you the best of luck on your training.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm so glad you could be here. Yeah, just thanks for all the support from everybody, and thanks to Hannibal for having me on again. It's always a good time being on here. So yeah, just thanks for being here, and look forward to the next one.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV.